Yeah, okay, good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe in. Dropping heat like every season. Underdog like Willie Beeman.
Okay,
Classic
so
like Dom singing.
we're all
Blasted
together.
like bombs ringing.
We're here in person together.
Yes, sir.
It's my birthday. The boys came down from the old northern Idaho, the tundra. I don't know if it's actually a tundra, but you guys came down.
God's great
Yeah.
state.
Hotter than it is here.
Yeah, it's about 90 in Coeur d'Alene.
It was 95 degrees today.
Yeah.
In Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah.
It's like 72 here.
All right, first of all,
Colorado
stop doing that. All right.
So we're live in Colorado right now, at my place. To my close left in the middle is Travis. To the far, or no, that's my right. To my close right is Travis. To the far right is Zane.
We'll flip it in post
Okay.
to make you correct.
Yeah, so they came down for my birthday. We're able to film episode 3 all together, and yeah, let's jump into it. Yeah. Okay, so my opening question for this week is: if Drake blew up in 2020, so the dawn of the pandemic, if Drake blew up in 2020 and released his same album, so we're talking about the same album release schedule, same singles schedule, everything, but starting in 2020, would he be more successful? Would he be more successful, have the same success, or be less successful going from 2020 forward?
Well, like when it comes to that, don't point the mic towards me because it will pick me up. But when it comes to that, like streaming, for example, blew the up because people had nothing to do. Mm-hmm. And then if there's no other Drake clones, and there's no other style like it, and he just came out, what album? Is this his first album?
Yeah, so same. So we're starting at what was it? So Far Gone. Yeah, we're starting at So Far Gone, and then we go from there.
Well, I mean the vibe's different. Like Trippie Redd's peak, Lil Uzi's peak, and then you have like more like a lyrical type.
Well, that's why I think it's interesting because we're starting at such a different point in music, and part of the reason why Drake was so. Why he's so important now and why he's so big now is because he has such a different sound. So do you think the same, like, why he, because I don't know, because part of the reason why he's still big now is
tell me what's really going on.
Part of the reason why he's so big now is because it's almost, there's a nostalgic sound to it, and the reason why we listen still to his every new album is we hope that he brings back that 2010 2009 sound, right?
I think he drops Scorpion, he's bigger. I don't even know. I think he drops Scorpion. He still blows up. I think he drops So Far Gone.
Right. That's what we're saying. So we're
flops.
starting at So Far Gone.
Yeah, I don't think it does
so
well.
So do you think he's? So let's see. So it was So Far Gone, and then what came after So Far
Gone? Thank me later.
Honestly, when you want to talk, just grab the mic from him.
I don't think he would have blown up because, or I don't think he would have had the same success because I don't think anyone in 2020 was looking for. If Drake was unknown, like a Trey Songz feature, like
yeah.
I don't think anybody's looking for that, and like I think his sound has changed with the time. I mean, I think he's also changed the times and like led that, but also he's like changed with the times as well. So like
that's the one thing he's really good at is changing with the times.
Yeah, and he's able to make it sound good and make it sound like himself.
Like he doesn't go from So Far Gone to Yes Indeed with Lil Baby.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
And like no one, like I just feel like his like that early stuff like was like perfect for the time that he was in, like his vibe, what he was trying to create. But then like in 2020, I don't think it would have been.
Well, I mean, you have that like, because what did he drop during COVID? Because we went crazy when he dropped it. You and me did because I was.
It was working on the weekend like usual.
What is it? That's
way out in the deep end like
he
usual.
He dropped like during COVID, like in March or whatever, May or whenever he dropped it. It was like the Dark Lane demo tapes.
Oh,
yeah, that was like the.
That was the Windy City one, right?
When I say Wind, Chicago Freestyle.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, I think. I don't know. I feel like if it's starting at So Far Gone, maybe he flops. But at the same time, part of it, they can hear me right here. Because this is the front.
I thought you were just talking to me.
No. No, I think he, part of me feels like he would have been just fine if he did, because it's such a different sound and it's kind of that throwback sound, and we're all looking for, in music, I feel like right now, everyone's looking for that new sound, and I feel like that would have been the wave. And personally, for me, I would have rather heard that 2010, 2009 kind of sound in 2020.
Just hold it a little bit closer.
Rather than what we're dealing with in terms of mumble rapping and everything.
I think if we are in today's time, then yeah, he has that audience and potential. But I think in COVID, people weren't really looking for that yet. Like they were just kind of rocking with whatever.
Oh no, it was Tootsie Slide that he dropped during COVID.
Did he drop that during COVID?
That was Tootsie. Well, he dropped both.
That was on.
He dropped both. Was it Tootsie Slide on?
Yeah.
Was it? Oh.
Sure. He dropped it as a single and then.
Oh, and then put it on there.
So he dropped Tootsie Slide on Dark
as a single.
Then
and
he put
then
it on the Dark one.
But the first one that he dropped was Working on the Weekend. I can't remember the name of it.
But that's Future song.
I thought is it
No, that's
Future song?
Yeah, no, it's Future
I was
song.
looking it up. So basically, what's my final verdict with Drake?
I don't think he blows up. Off of So Far Gone, I don't think he blows up.
I mean, no, like I already said, I don't think he has like the success. I feel like it just wouldn't have went with the vibe of 2020. I don't think it would.
Because you also have to think like Rick Ross isn't that big now. Well, I mean, he's still huge, but he's not as big as he was back in the day.
8 pairs and
yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not as big as he was back in the day, even though he's still like big and known now. But I also think he's still big and known now because of Drake. Because that when Toronto won, and it was like, but I'm still put my money in the grave. When I die, I put my money in the grave. And Rick Ross kind of featured on that, kind of like brought him back in.
Yeah. Okay. So Zane, you don't think so? Trav, you don't think so? I think he would have had the same success because I think people would have been hungry for. I think 2020 was hungry for a new sound, and that could have been it. But we didn't get a new sound, so we have just kind of stayed on course. We think so. So Dame's requested a trade out of Portland, and at first it was where is he going to go, and then everyone was like, okay. He said he wanted to go to Miami, so everyone just conceded that he was going to go to Miami. But then all the major sports networks and Portland kind of in general stayed quiet until the major sports networks started talking about basically, yes, Dame has been loyal to the Portland franchise, but does that mean that Portland should be loyal to Dame? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Basically, the question is, Dame has been there through thick and thin. He has stayed through the rebuilds. They've built around him, but it hasn't worked, air quotes. Yet he's stayed there way too long. I think that's general consensus throughout the NBA community, sports fan community. Like, he's stayed there way too long. So basically the question is, should Portland fold to Dame's, like he wants to go to Miami. It's very clear. Should Portland basically take whatever deal Miami gives them, or should Portland be doing what's best for them? The comp to this, to me, to put it in other terms for you, Zane, you know the NFL a little bit better, is let's say Patrick Mahomes says, I want to be here as long as Andy Reid is here. And then Andy Reid is on ice, and they screw up in the playoffs. It's all on Andy Reid, and Kansas City fires him, and then Patrick Mahomes asks for a trade to, I don't know, Green Bay. Okay? Should the Chiefs should just send him to Green Bay, or should they take the best package they can? For Dame, should they send him to Miami, or should they take the best package they can? Because teams like Utah, who have a ton of draft capital, teams like New York have a ton of draft capital, can give Portland the best deal per se, but it doesn't necessarily work out the best for both Dame or necessarily for the future of stars that they get, showing that they're willing to work with stars when they want to trade.
Yeah, so it's like this, right? So if the team that like he wants to go to does not know that like this is the team that they want to go to, I think yes. But if the team knows that like Dame wants to go to Miami and so they upsell,
that's what I'm saying. He's been very vocal. Like he's made it very vocal that he
then
wants
I don't
to go
think
to
so.
Miami, and his agent has even gone as far. His agent has gone as far to call Philadelphia, Boston, other teams that are interested in Dame, Utah, to tell them that if they trade for Dame and they give them the best package, and Miami or in Portland takes it, that they're trading for an unhappy player, and essentially that next year or even by the trade deadline, he's going to ask for another trade.
That I don't think so, because then like you can't play the game of like trading players and getting what you want if your player's vocally saying that I only want to go to this place. Even though he's been there for that long, he's on the end of his career at Portland. He's screwing them by saying I only want to go here. So then Miami can upsell, and then it's not a fair deal.
Right. So you think that Portland should just take the best deal they can?
Not necessarily. I think if it's more like on like if it's more on the low, like he goes to Portland, says I want to go to Miami, and then they only pursue a Miami contract. Right. I think that's the way it should be. But as far as like how he's going about it, I don't think that's like a fair way of doing business, because then like they have to give up more. Because then like the place that you supposedly like love, right, is Portland. You played there forever. Then like when you leave, you're screwing them. Like that just doesn't make sense. Yeah,
I think, and the other thing I was thinking about too when I was thinking about this question is because I gave the Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes example. Yeah. I feel like it's different in football, because in football it's like, yes, the quarterback is the most important, arguably the most important player on the field and the most impactful, but I feel like it's, if you trade, obviously Patrick Mahomes is different, but like let's say you trade Lamar Jackson, going back to what we talked about last podcast. If you trade Lamar Jackson somewhere, like the situation that they were in this summer, if you send him to Atlanta, it's less of a deal than if you send Damian Lillard to Philadelphia. Are we agreeable on that?
Yeah, because it's like they have, as much as a quarterback has a lot of control on what happens during the game, like a good player in basketball has like 10 times the amount of control.
Right, because it's 5-on-5 versus 11-on-11.
There's a lot more variables in the NFL. Trav, what do you think?
I think if we go back to the main question, that I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business. So I think Portland's got to do its best for them, because Dame's going to try to do its best for him. And obviously, I don't think either of them really want to like screw each other over.
But isn't what's best for Dame to get the $45 million that they're guaranteeing him for the next 4 years on his contract?
Well, the best for him is what he wants is to get a ring at this point, I think.
But he's waited so long on that ring, though.
But I think if he wants out, which is, I mean, that's really what it is, then I think you have to, I think if he wants to go to Miami or wherever he wants to go, then Portland needs to get the best player they can out of the trade from Miami or that whatever team. That's at least has to be equal, because otherwise it's kind of
I think they do the best they can. Turn the mic away from me while I'm talking. I think they do the best that they can within their means, because like this is the man who like their star player for how long? Do you know off the top of your head?
At least like a decade, I think.
Yeah, like a decade. That's their star player. So if he wants to leave, he wants to go someplace, they should do their best to try and get Miami to take him within their best means, obviously. But again, like he went out and he just said he only wants to go to Miami. So then, like, what's like it does, like, even though you said, I think it does screw over Portland, because they don't have like any trade value after that, because they can go to Philly, they can go to like the Nets, they can go to any other team and be like, hey, you want Dame for this much? But then they're like, his agent said, oh, you're only going to have him for a year, and then he's going to try and trade out. You know, so he does screw over Portland in that way. But I still think, like, as a corporate company who makes probably like billions of dollars, right? They do have a responsibility for somebody who's brought in seats and tickets for that long to like try and make him happy on his way out.
But are they really, like, is Dame really screwing over Portland? Because look, they got Scoot Henderson with the 3rd pick. They have Shaden Sharp from last year.
I'm saying in this situation, not like overall, just in his trade situation.
Well, but that's the thing, though, is there's an argument right now of what's Dame's real trade value, because he is on the back 9 of his career. Honestly, he's probably on the back 5 of his career. This is probably his last good contract. After that, it's kind of whatever. So it's like, is he really screwing over Portland? Should they take whatever deal? To me, I mean, Pat Riley is is renowned for making ginormous trades. So maybe a 2-team trade between Portland and Miami isn't doable, but you bring in Utah, you bring in whoever else wants to get in on it. So it's not impossible for him to rope in a Utah, for him to rope in a Knicks to bring into the trade to make the whole thing work. You can the frame of the trade can be essentially Tyler Hero to Utah, Dame to Miami, Duncan Robinson to Portland, trade assets from Utah going to Portland. You can make the framework work. I mean, Pat Riley pulled off the biggest trade in NBA history, so it's not impossible for him to pull it off. But to me, it seems like at this point, Portland needs to take what they get from Miami and just make it right.
Because Dame's not as like valuable as we all think he is. He's not really that valuable anymore.
No, because he's on a massive contract. He's on the back nine of his career. As great as he was last year, he's on the back nine of his career. He's going to have 3 great seasons in Miami, just enough to make it work with Jimmy and Bam. And that's it.
It sounds like you are saying that he's not as valuable as he used to be.
Yeah, I'm on the train of Miami.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm basically saying I think Miami or Portland should take what they can get from Miami, do right by Dame, and fold to the fact that they traded Dame 3 seasons too late.
All right, Trav. So Miami, Portland, you're trading only Dame to Miami. You come up with a trade scenario that either works. So, like, what do they get for Dame?
We can leave contracts out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, leave the money out of it. Just like players, and then picks are still in.
Well, it's kind of hard because Dame is, I mean, he's technically still like a star, but like we said, like, he's kind of like I like what you said when you said they're trading him 3 seasons too late. Like, granted, he didn't really want out. But Portland still should have traded him. Like, they should have known, like, all right, like, this isn't going to work anymore.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you would think that Portland would try to get like one of Miami's big stars, like Bam or Jimmy. But at the same time, there's no way the Heat are going to give that up. And there's no way Dame is really even, like, worth that, to be honest. Like, I mean, Dame's my favorite player, but I'm being real.
So who do they get?
But the other thing is like, does Portland really need a Jimmy or Bam? I mean, it would help, but the dudes they just picked up, like the rookies they have,
not for the future.
They don't need it. They don't really need that because even Jimmy's gonna be like on the back of his career soon too.
They're built to contend now. If they want to bring in Dame, they're built to contend right now for the next, maximum the next 3 years. Jimmy has about 3 years of this 40 minutes a game. Bam is fine, but if you want to include Jimmy and you want to get him a ring, it's a 3-year window, especially in the East. The East, we thought this year was the most rock solid, and we thought we knew what was going to happen. But it turns out the East is still to me the weaker conference, and so it's kind of open season in the East, I think, because you don't really know what's going to happen as far as injuries with the Sixers or with the Bucks now.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just in like that scenario, I don't know. Like, I don't feel like the Heat is the best team for Portland to trade with, which
Right,
I mean sucks
but
for
here's
Dame.
Here's the thing is that like I said, that I think that Dame's like kind of screwing over Portland by only saying that they want to go Heat. But you're the GM of the Heat, right? And then what's a trade that you would make for Dame?
So you're Pat Riley.
You're Pat Riley. What's the trade you would make? Excluding money, picks, and players only.
Just players?
No, like draft picks.
Just picks or just players?
A mix of both. I think
Both,
is what
both,
he's
both.
saying.
Okay. Leaving the contracts out.
Yeah. Leave the money out.
Okay.
I'd probably go. I mean, it kind of seems like Tyler Hero's like their number one like low tier option. Like, no offense, but like, you know, like not like one of like their main guys they can trade. And I also feel like that would actually be a pretty solid deal for Portland to get as like a 6-man type of guy.
So like you would only do Tyler for Dame just straight across.
No, I'd do Tyler and then probably a first round pick.
A first round.
That's it.
Tyler a first, probably like, well, I mean like a couple of picks, but I don't know like what year I would go or whatever. Like probably next year first pick, maybe 2 years second round pick, a first and second round. I don't know, like 2 or 3 picks I would say, and then Tyler.
I guess
Hero.
that makes sense because because the value of Tyler is that he's young.
Mm-hmm.
And then so like that would be why you would want Dame, but the reason why they would want Tyler is because he's young and he can play for a long time.
And they're also like Portland's building a young team right now, so like it would be a kind of a good asset to go along with
Or
that.
what are you gonna say?
So this is and granted I'm a contract guy, so I kind of look into all these things, and I've done the trade machine. But to me, the thing that the rumors that I've heard and what makes the most sense to me is Portland sends Nurkic and Dame. They're the two oldest guys on the Portland roster. They send them to Miami. Miami then sends Tyler Hero to Utah and Duncan Robinson to Portland. Utah comes in with the trade capital, or the draft capital. So Portland throws in, they don't throw in, well, Portland would probably have to throw in their 24, 25, and probably 24 and 25 first-round picks because they're still going to be bad. Throw those into the trade, and then Utah would probably throw in the back end of their Minnesota picks that they got in the Rudy Gobert trade.
So Portland's throwing their first 2 picks.
The next 2 years, yeah, they're first-round picks for the next 2 years.
So are they trying to build off of Tyler Hero? Or no, Duncan Robinson is who would it be?
It would be Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero. It'd be Duncan Robinson, but Portland gets draft capital back. So they're getting the draft capital back. Miami has
So it would be like-
Miami's throwing in the picks. Sorry,
It'd be a trade. Oh, Miami's throwing in the
Miami's
first
throwing in
round
the picks. So essentially, how it would shake out is Miami would land with Dame and Yusuf Nurkic straight out, no picks. Portland would end out with Duncan Robinson, Portland would end up with Portland would end up with Duncan Robinson, the Jazz probably 26, 27, 28 first round pick, and then probably I'm wrong. They would end up with the Jazz 24, 25, and then probably the Miami 27, 28. So they get four first-round picks and Duncan Robinson, a good shooter. And then Utah would basically come out with maybe a second-round pick, maybe 1 or 2 second-round picks, and Tyler Hero, which I think that's how it would shake out. And that's what, to me, makes the most sense.
So Miami's going all or nothing for the chip, basically.
Yeah.
Because they're throwing away their longevity.
And part of you're throwing away your longevity, and everyone says, well, why would you want Yusuf Nurkic? But to me, yes, you have Bam, but Yusuf Nurkic has, to me, Bam is, I know he played well in this playoffs for the most part, here and there, but I feel like he's a little too inconsistent. And Yusuf Nurkic, you kind of know what you're getting. You can slide him to the 4. You can slide Bam. To me, Miami plays small anyways. You can throw Yusuf Nurkic in there for a decent amount of minutes. Yes, he's got a big contract, but you can throw him in there for a decent amount of minutes and make it work. And that way, Miami can play for the chip for the next 3 years. Portland builds for the future, and Utah arguably has a centerpiece to their trade. I wouldn't be happy as a Jazz fan, but
all right, Trav has to hold the mic, bro.
Why?
You talking for like 5 minutes? Okay, so is there anybody else besides how do you say his name?
Nurkic.
Yusuf, and then Hero and Duncan that you would trade? Anybody else on the roster for Miami?
No.
Miami would just be sending Tyler Hero and Yusuf Nurkic. I mean, the argument is they could be sending their Jokic, I think is Jovic, and then their pick that they had in the first round this year. But I mean, I don't think Portland can pull that kind of value off of Dame anymore.
All right. So Odell Beckham Jr.
Okay. It's always got to be Odell, bro.
Now on the Ravens roster.
Okay.
So I'm curious on what you guys think, if he is going to have a successful season coming off his second ACL surgery, a new team, kind of all the drama that he's had in his whole career of people, just off the field, on the field drama type stuff. I'm just curious if you guys think he'll have success in Baltimore or not.
Absolutely not.
All right, what do you think Odell's not going to do good with the GOAT, Lamar Jackson?
Absolutely not. For one, we've seen he can't stay healthy anymore. I think he has the total skill to. I think he has the skill to be I think he has the skill to be a number one. I don't think he physically can sustain being a number one. It comes back to the durability thing. The Ravens, to me, on paper, they're a real papery team on offense.
Did he have an injury?
He's torn his ACL 2 years in a row.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
The same one.
No, I didn't know that.
The same one.
Granted, I will say that the first ACL tear, like what the surgery was done improperly, and but then the second one he didn't even play last season, so he's had like 2 full years to recover from the surgery.
Despite that not being Odell's fault, I still don't like. I still just don't see him bouncing back from that, especially because I don't think he's physically can handle being a number one anymore. The reason why he worked in LA is because he had Cooper Kupp, the best white man to ever step on a football field. Like,
okay, does he still have his hands that he used to?
Sure, but can he get open? The separation is the problem here. Can the separation and the beating of being a number one option? Because let's look at the Ravens. Who else are they throwing through? J.K. Dobbins is not reliable.
I think when it comes to like ACLs and your knees in general, it's more about like, so let's say he's like a slot receiver, right? So he does a lot of slants and a lot of quick steps. Mm-hmm. If he moves to an outside receiver where he's just based on speed, he's still fast enough to where he can still be a threat down the field.
But we don't know that yet. He hasn't shown that.
Yeah, he hasn't shown that. But like if somebody who has weak knees to where he isn't durable anymore, but he still has the hands that he had back in the day.
Well, I think also, I don't think it's pretty easy. Like, think about Larry Fitzgerald and how long his career was. Like, not necessarily comparing those two, but like obviously in the latter 5 years of his career, Larry Fitzgerald physically was not as athletic as any of the receivers in the league. So I think even Odell being, if he is not, he's a 4.3 guy, but if he's not running 4.3 speed, they're still going to find a way to get him open. Like, it's not all about him. Like, he doesn't have to be one-on-one every single play. Like, if it's the defense are going to play him different, they can set up plays to get him open in space.
So if his knees are still good and he can play the slot and run quick slants, he'll do tremendous because Lamar Jackson's fast and he goes out of pocket and then he pulls the linebackers towards him because that's their read is that he's going out to run. And he pulls those linebackers back, and then he can throw it to Odell, who's going to catch it like 90% of the time.
And I also think that, I mean, because the Ravens' O-line isn't very good.
Yeah, so it'd be a lot of quick plays. So
it's
if
all
his
going to be
knees are
quick
still
passes
good
anyway. There's not going to be much of a read or much time for like, oh, we need Odell to win this one-on-one deep route 15 yards on the field. It's going to be like, he's going to be running 5 to 10-yard routes.
Well, it's just all based on his knees because, like, their offense is set up for those quick slants, which is what a slot receiver does.
But the whole thing with being able to throw a quick slant and being able to use Odell in that way that you guys are talking about is having the bite on the run game.
Which is Lamar Jackson going out of pocket. Because the read for a linebacker.
Okay, but then but then you're putting stress on Lamar Jackson that he doesn't need, and the whole point of bringing Odell in is that Lamar Jackson can sit in the pocket. So you're negating that.
I feel like it's very normal for him to leave the pocket and start running.
No, it is. That's what I'm saying. It is.
So it doesn't change anything.
I know, but
it just makes that way that he plays better.
But the whole point of the Ravens bringing it in was the fact that Lamar has never had weapons, but they didn't fix the O-line. So bringing in Odell doesn't fix the O-line. So yes, you're right. It should take some stress off of Lamar. But the fact that they didn't fix the O-line means that they're just going to be putting more stress on the both of them. Because now not only does Lamar have to escape the pocket and escape the shitty O-line, but now he has to throw it to Odell and be targeting Odell 13 times a game, Travis Kelce numbers, and he doesn't have the frame to sustain that. He's had 2 ACL
he's playing
injuries.
A different game. This is something he's been playing for his entire career. He's already been doing that, throwing it to worse receivers.
I know.
So all it does is make his game that he already plays better.
But that's what I'm saying. You're putting more stress on Lamar. We've already
you're not putting more stress because it's easier to throw to Odell than a bad receiver.
I know, but you're still. We've already shown that we talked about it last podcast, and it's proven that Lamar is not durable because of the O-line. Not because of Lamar, because of the O-line.
Are they gonna change to where he becomes a pocket passer?
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. The O-line didn't get fixed, so the stress is still on Lamar. So then that means that Lamar is going to be targeting Odell because he's his best receiver, so that means more stress on Odell, which now means that there's more stress on the both of them as a duo to get the ball, to have the pass and catch. And that means, and can Odell sustain this kind of wear on his body as the number one option on a team as a slot receiver who's getting absolutely railed by linebackers?
So it's like this. Yeah, I agree with you, but it's like this, to where like if you don't have a great passing game but you have a stellar run game, it's gonna be harder to run because every linebacker's automatically going to be looking for the run.
But that's the whole point of having a good run game, is then you open up the pass game, but they have neither because they have a shit O-line.
They have Lamar Jackson.
But
the
whole point is that you don't want Lamar Jackson to be your running back. You want him to be an option to make plays. You don't want him to be a running back.
So you're trying to change how they're playing? I'm saying that like how they play right now, Odell is a great pick because how they play right now.
I'm not saying that Odell's not a great fit for the team. He's a great help. He's going to take some stress off, but it's only going to. But as the season goes on, and that's the other thing. The longer the season goes on, the more the teams look. You look at the film and you say, okay, we flush Lamar out of the pocket, we close the edge, we make sure we double Odell, and we're gonna have him 3 and out every time down the field.
Then
and
you go to other receivers. This is Lamar's never had.
But we know that they're not reliable. That's the problem.
Lamar's never had reliable receivers, but they're still like a great team. So now you're just adding that fact that people have to now check to see if Odell's running a slant. Check to see if Lamar's out in the field, right? Because he already plays with having nothing. Now we're giving him another tool for the defense to check, to where that takes stress off of Lamar.
I also think that we're acting like the Ravens, the only 2 players on the Ravens team are Odell and Lamar Jackson.
Well, but what did the rest of the team do?
They just drafted Zay Flowers, who's going to be a good receiver, and he's more of a slot. He's kind of like a Hollywood Brown, like basically like a replacement for him. Okay. So another like deep threat guy. So if they're going to double Odell, awesome. We'll throw it deep to Zay Flowers. Like they're gonna have options, and I think Rashad Bateman's actually a good receiver. Everyone's might hate on him.
Zay Flowers is gonna have to prove himself.
So yeah, but I think it's gonna give him the option too. He's either gonna prove himself and do good, or they're gonna find somebody else.
Well, then that means from here on out, we cannot give Lamar Jackson yes, he still has a little bit of the O-line, but we can't say anymore that he doesn't have a receiving core. So if he doesn't fail, if the O-line is a little bit better, or at least there's a little bit more protection, we can't blame it on the receiving core anymore. That point is done. I don't want to hear it anymore. That's done. If he has the receiving core, if he has a better receiving core, and Zay Flowers is open and he has a separation, and Lamar can't get him the ball, it's done. Lamar is a okay passer. He's a good passer, and that's it.
Yeah, but I think Odell feeds into his run passing game.
The RPOs?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't see the Ravens. I don't see the Ravens improving from the way they were last year, especially in the division they're in.
Well, like they had a positive record, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So they had so Lamar was winning with no disrespect, but he was winning with trash, and now he has like a supposedly a golden goose. If Odell comes back and he can't run and he can't catch like the way he used to, then like I agree with you.
But still, that's what I'm saying though is fine, okay, if they have the receiving core and the defense is still what it is because the defense was pretty good last year, then if the offense doesn't work out, the defense is still as good, and the general consensus is that the receiving core is good, then we need to take a step back and really look at Lamar. And
I agree.
If he's gonna be, if he's gonna have one, he's gonna have longevity, and 2, was the deal even worth it? He held out for this long, and then he didn't show up.
I agree, but the conversation is Odell.
Yeah, is Odell gonna be successful? That's the question.
Which I think he.
I don't think he will.
I think he is because
No.
he opens up more options that Lamar never had.
Well, I also think he will because he probably will be the receiver 1. He's gonna get hella targets, so I think he's gonna be good because he's gonna get more targets than if he plays as well as he did in LA in the Super Bowl season, plus he's the number 1 receiver and getting more targets than Cooper Kupp was getting, then I think he's gonna have a ton of success. He had possibly his best season on the last season with LA before he got hurt.
But the whole reason is because he had a Cooper Cup on the other side of the field. That's what I'm saying.
But now he's the number one guy. So what if he? And then if he's getting, like I said, they have other weapons to where I don't think he's gonna be.
By the way,
the number one distraction.
Dev said that the reason why Odell did good was because he had a Cooper Cup on his team, just in case nobody heard it.
I just don't see, because we saw him as a number one option in New York. We saw him with Eli Manning.
There was a lot of problems in New York, buddy.
Okay, but like, there's a lot of problems with the Ravens on the offensive side.
But they
of the
were
ball.
still like winning. That's the problem. Is that like New York wasn't winning like the Baltimore Ravens are winning.
I know.
Like Lamar is winning with trash. Like, and you're
I
not
know.
giving him props for winning with nothing.
Okay, but the question is about Odell, and I just don't see him having success because he needs another receiver on the other side of it. And that's what I'm saying. I don't think this year that Zay Flowers is going to show up and be a 2 at the best,
All right.
a strong 2.
Here's a new question. Do you think they do better this year, or do you think they do worse this year?
Worse this year.
I mean, it all depends on chemistry.
Because here's another thing, too, is if you build him into your system, here's the other part. They've been building him into the system the whole offseason. They've been making sure that they incorporate him in a big way into the offseason, right? He goes out, game 2, and tears his ACL. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're not, like, that blows up the whole game plan. Now Zay Flowers is option 1. I'd love to see that. I would love to see how that goes for the Ravens. I would love to see that.
It would be the same as last season, bro.
Exactly, and they're gonna
they went positive.
They're gonna overachieve. Lamar will get hurt. He'll sit out 4 games, and then they'll come close to whoever it is in the first round of the playoffs, get walked, and we'll be in the same situation we were this offseason.
This is only based off of Odell getting hurt. Like, what if he doesn't?
But that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's going to be durable enough because he doesn't have a Cooper Cup on the other end to take those big hits off of him.
I think, but so like big hits for slot receivers are linebackers.
And that's how he's torn 2 ACLs.
Yeah, okay, but a running quarterback pulls linebackers towards him when he gets out of the pocket.
Also, him tearing his ACL, both are non-contact injuries where he's literally running down the field. There's no linebacker involved.
That's even worse, though.
That is so much worse. That is so much worse.
Okay, but I'm saying
that is so much
you guys
worse.
are talking about he's about to get hit and get hurt.
Right, you add a hit. He's had 2 non-contact ACL.
Okay,
tears.
but I again emphasize his first ACL tear was normal, like normal ACL tear. Darn, that sucks. His second one, the ACL was not properly reconstructed. It was just bound to tear.
So does that mean that his ACL is weaker now?
Okay, but here's what I'm saying. After his first ACL tear, he comes back with the Rams and has an incredible season right before he tears his ACL in the Super Bowl.
But I also agree that he wasn't the same Odell in New York because of Cooper Kupp. Like, I agree with that point, that Cooper Kupp was that person who was doing those slots, catching it, taking the hits, and also like making the moves. Like in the Super Bowl, Odell had a touchdown, but it was like he held the A button in Madden. Like he caught it and then he fell to the ground.
Yeah, but
You know what I'm
what's the
saying?
problem with that if it gets the job done?
There's no problem with that.
It's not a problem, but it's only a problem when he's the number one receiver.
I don't think so because I think you can, like I said, with like older receivers, they do it all the time. It's just the way that you game plan. You don't have to. Odell doesn't have to run a corner route or a
But
go.
I think with
between the cover
Lamar,
two.
he has to.
I don't think he does because I'm telling you, I think Zay Flowers is going to be like a Hollywood Brown dude where he's going to be going deep. I don't think they need Odell to.
I'm saying that he's going to come back and he's going to be fine. He's going to be able to run these routes. Dev's saying that he's not going to be able to run those routes. You're saying that he's fine not being able to run those routes, which I just disagree with.
I think he can run those routes, but I don't think that's their only option is, oh, no, we have to throw it deep to Odell every time we throw the ball.
I'm talking more about like the short plays with him. And I think if his knees is...
That's what I'm saying. I think they can run that. Like, that's what they're going to have to run anyway. You think Lamar's going to have time to throw it deep to anybody, even in the first place?
Yeah, I'm saying if his knees are fine, then yeah, they do great with him. But I'm saying if he's injured and he's not able to run the way that he's been able to run, then they're going to have problems. being the number one receiver, you have to be that person that's always open.
The only questionable thing is the run after catch for me. I think everything else is fine.
True.
I think his routes are going to be fine. I think his speed's going to be good. But is he going to be able to, like, cut after he catches the ball? I don't know. That's the only thing I don't know about. Because that stuff is different when it's, like, real
And
life.
when you said that, like, both his ACL tears are from non-contact hits, which I guess, like, that's probably, like, normal, right?
I think 99% of ACL tears are non-contact.
Yeah. So I guess it's normal, but being the slot receiver, you are in that position where you're making those tight cuts that put strain on your knees. So it is a little sketchy. But I just hope after those 2 years he's still like his knees have healed enough to be able to do that.